The place smelled like sawdust and blood, but in a good way. Beneath those smells lurked subtler scents of aged salami and smoked sausages. Tyler liked the mingled aromas. He liked the slippery feel of the sawdust on the wooden floor, and he liked the way the meat tasted when his mom cooked it. But he didn't like the butcher. The man was big, as if all the years he'd spent wrestling slabs of beef and large sections of pork had shaped him into the image of his offerings. He was loud too, shouting at his assistants if they moved too slowly, and even yelling at customers if they dawdled while placing their orders. But this was the only butcher shop in town, and his meat was much better than what was offered in either of the two local supermarkets. So people put up with his anger and his tantrums. Normally, Tyler entered the butcher shop only when he was running errands with his mother. Until now, he never had to face the man alone. Today, he was on his own. His mother wanted to bake a peach pie for the neighbor who'd been restricted in bed while she recovered from surgery. So, Tyler was given the shopping list and instructions not to anger Mr. Schmatzler.
No way I'm doing that,
Tyler thought as he approached the store.
I'm in and out.
The brick single-story building was squeezed between a shoe repair shop, which had its own rich aromas of leather and polish, and a bank, which smelled of nothing. A hand-scrolled sign in the window of the butcher shop advertised lamb shanks and kielbasa. Tyler rubbed his thumb and fingers against the folded bills in his left front pocket. He shifted his hand and touched the list his mother had given him. Then, he reached out and put his fingers on the door handle.
In and out.
He pulled the door open. A shout greeted him. "I don't need your business!" Mr. Schmatzler yelled as the woman escaped through the doorway, nearly knocking Tyler over. "Don't ask for a pound when you won't have a pound!" The butcher screamed at her, fleeing back. "I can't unslice it!" Tyler recovered his balance, briefly considered heading home and telling his mom the shop was closed, realized he was a terrible liar, sighed twice, then made his way inside. He felt as if the butcher's scream had the ability to push against him like fierce, hot wind. Before Tyler even reached the counter, with its splayed out steaks and chops, its mounds of ground beef speckled with white flecks of fat, and one horrifying large beef tongue, the butcher was glaring at him. "What do you want?" he asked. Tyler reached into his pocket for the shopping list.
I should have had it ready,
he thought. I'm dying of old age while you make me wait!" Mr. Schmatzler screamed. "Hurry up, boy, it's closing time!" He flipped the switch, turning off the light in the meat case. The early evening winter darkness spilled in through the front door. Tyler repeated his, The meaningless grunt morphed into a gasp as he searched through his pocket. He had the money, but the list was gone. Tyler glanced back over his shoulder.
I dropped it.
The list was on the sidewalk. He was sure of that.
I'll be right back.
He turned toward the door. "Stop!" Mr. Schmatzler screamed. "I'm closing in 10 seconds. He flicked another switch, killing half the ceiling lights. Tyler spun back. I can do it, he told himself. He'd seen the list. He tried to picture the words in his mind. He knew what his mother wanted. Steak. Some kind of steak.
A pound. No, wait. A pound and a half of,
What kind of steak was it? Mr. Schmatzler yanked off the blood-spattered apron, threw it to the floor, and stormed around the counter. I've had enough for one day. Tyler flinched, but the man blasted right past him as he headed for the door. Delmonico! Tyler shouted, remembering the name. Delmonico Steaks! But the butcher was already past him and on his way out the door. I'll give you some time to think, he said. He hit a final switch, high up above the top of the window, then stepped and slammed the door behind himself. Tyler looked at the butcher case, thought about what his mother would say if he returned without the meat, and then he looked out the door just as the butcher locked it. Click. Wait! Tyler screamed, but the man headed down the street. Tyler ran to the door and yanked at it. It was locked tight. He yanked it harder. It didn't matter. Come back. His words bounced off the door. Tyler stood, gasping to catch his breath. Smack! The sound came from behind him, like two muddy hands clapping together just once. Tyler spun toward the meat case. It was too dark to see anything. He turned back to the door and stretched up, but the light switch was out of reach. Even with his best jump, he fell short. He looked at the other switch, behind the meat case. He started to inch his way toward it. Smack! The sound shot from inside the case.
Stop! You're just dead meat!
Tyler yelled.
You aren't alive!
He rushed past the case and flipped the switch on the back wall. The light flickered on, washing away the darkness. In the movies, light banished horror and brought hope. In the butcher shop, light banished hope and brought horror. Tyler could see everything now. The meat was pulling together, gathering into one large, wet, red mass of muscle and sinew. Steaks, chops, cutlets, even ground beef. The meat was merging into a single creature. It formed a crude cylinder, the size of a small boy. The whole tube pulsed, as if it were somehow breathing. Tyler backed against the wall. A ripping sound tore through the silence. A bone jutted out from one side of the tube, near one end, slanting downward so it touched the bottom of the case. A second bone thrust out opposite of the first. Two more burst through at the other end. The bone scratched against the bottom of the case, as if it was trying to gain traction. The meat pulled itself to the rear of the case, pressed against the glass until it slid open, then fell out the back. It hit the floor with a wet splat. Tyler felt moist droplets shower his face. He could smell stale blood now. The rancid tang made his eyes burn. He raced to the door and threw himself against it, not caring if he got cut when the glass smashed. The door held. No! Let me out! He threw himself against it harder, ramming it with his shoulder. The whole door rattled, but nothing broke. Behind him, he heard the scrape of bones against the wooden floor. He didn't want to see what was there, but he had to look. The creature reminded him of an animal that had been poorly skinned with a dull knife. Meat had slid down to cover most of the four protruding bones, creating crude legs. A head of some sort had started to form. It was mostly a sphere, with a gaping opening in the front, cushioning the drooping beef tongue. Chips of bone lined the top and bottom of the opening, forming teeth. The tongue pulled back and the mouth snapped shut. The clack of bone striking bone shot through the air. The mouth gaped open again. Tyler screamed, took 2 steps backwards, then threw himself at the door with all his strength. The glass shattered. Tyler tumbled through the opening, landing hard on the sidewalk. A sharp pain shot through his left wrist. Lesser pain washed over his knees where they had struck the pavement. Tyler pushed himself to his feet, wincing at the jolts of agony radiating from his wrist. That's when he saw the blood. His right leg had been slashed by the glass. The cut wasn't deep, but the skin had flapped open. The creature dragged itself outside. Tyler tried to run, but his ankle betrayed him. He dropped back to his knees. The creature moved across the sidewalk, leaving a smeared red trail of raw, shredded meat. When it reached Tyler, it rose up. The bone-lined mouth gaped wider. The creature was posed like a snake, preparing to strike.
Please! No!
Tyler held out a hand. The creature paused. The head tilted toward the gash in his leg, then inched lower until it was hovering just inches above Tyler's torn flesh. The mouth moved. The words were soft but clear.
One of us.
The creature turned and moved back toward the butcher shop, adding a second layer to the smeared trail.
The little monster is one of us.
As Tyler watched it walk to the door, he recognized something. He rolled to his knees, reached out, and grabbed a slab of meat from the side of the creature.
Delmonico steak,
he said. That's what his mother had sent him for. Slowly, making sure he didn't overstress his ankle, Tyler got to his feet, clutching the dead meat in his hand. The live meat hobbled home.